morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you're coming from. Welcome to Becoming a Wise Agent webinar podcast series. My name is Eleni Summershields. I'm the COO of Wise Agent CRM based. I'm coming to you from Fountain Hills, Arizona, soon to be going off to Vegas in like an hour and like 5 minutes. I'll be leaving, but I am joined today with by Doug Thompson here. He is with Bottom Line University. He's the coach and master trainer there. So Doug, welcome.
Thank you very much for having us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and so we're going to be talking today about listing success and what how to use your CRM to get more listings. And Doug, you've had a lot of experience in that, right? And so tell us a little bit about you and how you what you were doing and how you were successful with listings.
Well, first of all, for myself, I started my career many years ago as straightforward as a real estate agent, and sort of give a highlight so everybody kind of feels the pain is at the very beginning of my real estate career. For the first 2 years, I decided to do it my way. So I was going to figure this out and I don't need to follow anybody. I don't need to learn from anybody. I'll just do it my way. And I failed miserably for 2 years and did virtually no transactions and no business at all. And then finally, I met a fella by the name of Floyd Wickman who helped me to change my career and change my direction as far as where I was going to go, and went from doing 7 transactions a year to doing 63 transactions a year. And all of that came from having the power of learning how to use a CRM, learning how to master the art of giving good presentations, and ultimately becoming a listing agent. And the key of it is to become a good listing agent makes all the difference in the world. Why? Because if you look at your NAR stat, they say that 30%, you'll work 30% less as a listing agent as you will be for a buying agent. So for me, I always like to work less and make more. And that's kind of where it likes to be. And you guys?
Yeah, so no, I love that. I'd love to see, we've got a lot of people joining us here. I'd love to see where people are coming from, where you guys are joining. If you wouldn't mind posting in the chat, what city, state, brokerage, and how many years you've been in the business. And Doug, how long have you been in the real estate sector?
I started in real estate in 1987.
1987. All right. I remember 1987. Good year. All right. All right. So, and this is always nice. I love seeing how many years and people that are joining us, how long they've been in the industry for, because this is going to give us a really good insight. We've got people from like 1.5 years to, I think I saw like 30 and 20 years. It's a big range. 2 months. Yay, 2 months. Who is that? Letitia. Congratulations. So welcome to real estate. And this is something like what you were saying is how do you work, basically, how do you work smarter and not harder, to still be able to enjoy life, keep kind of a healthy harmony within your work life situation. So, and using a CRM is definitely using technology, using a system in place in order to keep things kind of going and being operational without having to be kind of too much in the weeds sometimes. Just being able to focus on your business is really the best practices in all business.
Couldn't agree more. I was a very early adapter to a CRM mentality. I started having a CRM in 1990. And at the end of the day, it was delivered to us on a floppy disk, for those of us that are old enough to actually know what a floppy disk is. And but the thing of it is that by having a CRM, I personally did not work in it. I'm not a computer genius. Computers were not my game. But I paid somebody to look after that part of our business. That's running a business like a business. Yeah. And so I believe very strongly in a CRM because I think that we will gain an awful lot of our business moving forward if we have it inside of a CRM. As an example, NAR has another stat that I think is very positive and powerful, is that if you look after a customer correctly and then follow up with them and do everything you're supposed to do with them, you should gain 7 transactions from that one customer going forward over your career. So therefore, if you want to make your business be easier and have it to be a stronger business as you move forward, make sure that you're taking advantage of your CRM and make sure that you're entering all the data into your CRM. As Eleni and I were talking about yesterday, we want to talk about everything in our CRM. We want to know, do they have horses? Do they have dogs? Do they have cats? Do they have, what's important to them? Do the kids are in figure skating? All of this stuff is so valuable to us when we go to make a call to that customer again, whether it's 1 month or 3 years later, to be able to find out how to keep us relevant with these customers.
Absolutely. So probably the number one question that I get asked most is, who should I be putting in my CRM? And my answer is always everybody. Everybody that you've ever met, everybody that you know should go in your CRM. You can't possibly remember all the details because the details matter. I mean, people want to feel like they're heard. They want to feel like they're, important to you, to somebody else. They want to feel that. And so when you're, taking even the most, the simplest little, piece of detail about them, that just makes them tick. We were talking yesterday about kind of like our families and whatnot. And it's something that really, as time passes, that's something that you can fall back on and say like, oh gosh, I haven't talked to you, Doug, in forever, but I'm just calling to see how's the family, how's everybody doing? And you start asking those questions like, so then you get reconnected and you don't have to, really try too hard to, and the other person's usually going to reciprocate like, yeah, life happens, drifted apart. I don't know why, but we just did. I think it's really important to have some system, something to be able to note all of those little things and be able to recall them easily.
One of my mentors that backs up exactly what you're saying, at the end of the day, said that people don't care what you know until they know that you care about them. So I'll say that again because it's so important. People don't care what you know until they know that you care about them first. And that's exactly what you're saying. And that's where the power of our CRM goes. Something making the notes in your CRM. I think that it's such a more critical part to you to be successful. If you can phone somebody up 6 months later, a year later, and ask them, last time we talked, Billy and you were on our way to a baseball tournament or a hockey tournament or something. And so I haven't heard the update on that. How did you do? And if you're able to do that, it just echoes back. Like, how did you remember that? How did you know that? That's amazing that you remember stuff like that about me, right? So positive, so powerful. So, and to back that up with another stat from NAR too, is that, and this is a stat that we all need to look strongly at as far as our personal lives. So look inside when you hear this stat, that 17% of customers use the same real estate agent again the next time they do a transaction. So now I wish we could see thumbs up or thumbs down on that in the chat, but is that a good thing or a bad thing for us as real estate agents, gang? Well, I'm hoping you're rapidly saying a very bad thing because it is. And one of the reasons that is what it is, and the reason that challenge is where it is that we're not taking advantage of our CRMs and we're not making sure that the people actually remember us.
Yeah. And so Penny is saying that means that 83% of them are not retaining clients. I mean, that's exactly true. And it's all based on, it's all because of lack of follow-up. Yeah. I see it all the time, and I'd love to share my screen in order to show people out here that are watching this in the replay, kind of a little bit of what Wise Agent looks like first and foremost, but then also how to be really using this. This is our call list, and really you can just go to it from the dashboard. You can click on the call list, and it'll open up this page here for you to start looking at who you need to be calling today, right? The phone is still a powerful thing, definitely, as is email and texting. These are, forms of communication we definitely should be using. But what we've done in our call list here, Doug, is what we were talking about is like the recalling of the notes. So as I get ready to talk to Michael Phelps, I can click on my notes and see like what was the last conversation I had to him with, what was the last email I sent, what was all of this, that, and the other that I've, what conversations have we had? So I know exactly where I'm, what I'm going to be talking about, what I'm going to be saying. And then after I've talked to him and called, now I'm going to schedule my follow-up. So I'm going to say, okay, I need to call him a month from now or whenever it is. I can even put in the date, time, and why I'm going to be calling, right? And what we're going to be talking about. Why am I calling? Check in on the family. They just had a newborn baby. So maybe I just want to check in, and they should have had the baby by now. And in real life, they just did have a baby about a couple of weeks ago. And so now I can come in here and say, do all of these things. And then, but while I'm on the phone with him, I'm like, oh, okay, well, he's not really an active buyer right now. It's something that they're not actively looking, but this is something I still rank him pretty high because he might be buying soon because they just had an addition to the family. But right now is not the time for them. And that's okay, but I can still update things. I still can do my follow-up. And then here I would add all my notes of everything that I say, and then I complete this call. Now, when I've completed that call, I can still go back. And when I go back at any point to my client, we're going to pretend like this isn't like the Michael Phelps here, people. Okay. And we just use them as a test account. But now I can see these are all my notes. These are all the things that have happened. I can see when my follow-ups are happening. I can see the next follow-up that I need to do. I can do all of the things that I need to do. I see everything in one singular place. So then I'm not losing track of, where he needs to be and what needs to happen. And this is the beauty of that CRM. And once I take him from one status and change him to another one, where now I have maybe an active listing, now I can update him on a drip campaign and say, okay, well, now I need to update him on this, I have this new listing, so I'm going to just talk to him about whatever it is, right? So I want to put him on this particular drip campaign. So I can do that and then kind of go on from there. So a lot of automation, a lot of things that are happening without a lot of effort. All right, we've got some things going on in here, some questions in here, but Doug, I'll let you kind of talk a little bit about that and just, having things where there's a follow-up in place after every conversation. I think most in the industry are not doing that. They're not setting a follow-up after they've had a conversation with somebody, even if they've said, I'm not looking to buy or sell right now.
Couldn't agree more. So one of the things that we have to look at is that when it comes to the follow-up, a really good example of what we're talking about is in one of my one-on-one coaching sessions that I had just recently with Ben Sagu, where Ben and I were talking about how to generate more listings and how to get some more listings. And so we were looking back at all the different people that are in his CRM and all the different ways to go back inside the CRM to be able to contact these people. And one of the things that came up in our discussion was our past open houses. And so now I was so impressed with Ben that inside his CRM, he had actually categorized all of the people that were involved in all of his open houses back a number of years. So in our discussion, we decided, well, let's go back 2 years and start calling forward from there, from all the people that were active and it came into his open houses. Within a very short time period and a very short number of calls, actually, Ben was able to contact with somebody, reignite their discussions, and get out there to have an appointment with them, list their house, and sold their house. So here's the power of what we're talking about, is about having a successful CRM, because if we look after these people and we have them in our system and we have set them up on the drip campaigns, as you were just showing at the end of the day, those customers are never lost. They're never gone, because your drip campaign continues to look after them. They continue to have information from you. They remember you are top of mind to them, which is ultimately what a CRM will do for you, and keep you to the top of their mind when the time comes. So then when you phone them, they know who you are and that you're a real estate agent and you're calling, and then you get to obviously demonstrate why you're calling at that time. So your drip campaigns inside your CRM, get them set up, take the time. Yes, I know it's a pain in the butt. I know it takes a little bit of work, but go ahead and
And we've taken a lot of that work out for them, where we have, and I love, taking something that's been, kind of created for you, and you can put your own, you can put your own specialness to it. But it, like you said, Doug, you shouldn't be fearful of some of that work, because you do it once, and then maybe once a year, once every 6 months, you go in there and you zhuzh it up a little bit, change it around, or maybe make it a little bit more talking to what's happening currently in the market. But really, it's not that much effort for the long haul of
True.
things.
Very true.
Yeah.
And in that scenario with Ben, then the other thing that we did too is that we also updated as to reflect on what was just said. We updated what he actually now has in his CRM that actually triggers as soon as you're done the open house. As Sarah and I were talking just before we got on our webinar today, is that a lot of people go do an open house, do all the work of an open house, and then they don't actually stay in touch with the customer thereafter. And the reason for that is life gets in the way. And so therefore we have to change that, and we have to set it up automatically. So what Ben did is he set it up automatically that as soon as that evening, if it's a Sunday, it end at 4, by 6 p.m. that night, they will get a text from him. They'll get a video from him. In a text is the video from him that actually says, "Thank you very much for coming to my open house." Short, sweet, whatever you want to say, but something that's a video from you. And it really makes it strong and positive now that you connected, because you can bet a very large dollar that the majority of people that they went to a different open house that day, but they didn't hear from that other real estate agent. So
yeah. And I love that you bring this up, because I think this is, I mean, like you said, life happens. So I'm a big believer in like pre-planning. I like to plan things out and, kind of stay a step ahead of things in life, because you never know what's going to happen, right? So for open houses, and I'm going to share my screen here one more time, wrong button. And show you guys what we have specifically for open houses. So from our marketing dropdown, you can go to our landing pages. And from here, we have a couple of different templates that you can have for your open house sign-in forms. If you guys are still using like a piece of paper to have people scribble in their hieroglyphics, and you have to go back and decipher the nonsense, that chicken scratch that they've written out, like, don't do that to yourself. Like, don't. It's not necessary. You can do something really simple. Everyone walks around with this device in their hand. Every single person. I don't know. I mean, from like 9 years old and up, I think. I mean, I got a 3-year-old niece, and she's got her little iPad with her everywhere she goes, right? So everyone's got a phone with them. Create a landing page, right? And so you can just create a simple open house landing page. I'm going to see if I have one here. And basically you can edit all of this. You can change this around to have a different image, a different forms. You can include a video. You can do all sorts of things in here. I like this template the most that we have. And really, you just have to change the background and make it look like the house that you're listing, or a house in that neighborhood. And then basically they fill out this form. All of this information, as soon as they click on submit, will go into your CRM automatically. It'll go right into your Wise Agent account. And now you have in here, and what I love about this form, and Doug, you tell me if like you would take something out or change anything in here, but it's like, you're getting like, how did they hear about this? You're getting, if you are currently working with an agent, this is so important. Like, are you working with them? If they say yes, then when that person comes in and you're like looking at, their responses, you're like, okay, they're already working with an agent. I'm going to put it on here. They're already represented. I'm not going to bother with this one, right? Or you can have a follow-up like, well, who are you working with? I'd love to check in with them to see what your thoughts are on this. So you still have some options there. And then the automation part comes from our lead rules and setting up every single time after this open house, after you use this form, and you can make this form be kind of generic in the sense where it's just your open house form and you just kind of copy it and edit it every single time, and you create a new rule for this for every single listing. But basically, I wouldn't need to have a new rule for Saturday and Sunday. It would be the same rule for both days, right? So anytime it comes in, I would say, I'm going to put them in my drip campaign for that open house, where it's going to include maybe a video about the property, maybe the property flyer so they can see it. But then I'm also going to engage them in like on the initial submission of their contact information. And so I can send them an automated email, which in my opinion is, a little intense, but I would do a text, even though that can seem kind of intense. But what I like about the text is that you could include the property flyer here. So I can just say, here's a property flyer, and then just say, welcome to 123 Main Street. And then you put in all the information, by the way, the pool table in the basement also conveys the property or whatever you want, something you want to highlight. And now every time somebody fills out this form, they click on submit, they're going to get all of these things. They're going to be added to the drip campaign, like Doug was saying. They're going to get that text message with the flyer. So when they go home after seeing 10, 15 properties, and they're going to look at their text messages and be like, oh yeah, that was the one. And oh, they said that the pool table does convey. So now they can start thinking about which one was the one that we liked. And they've got your flyer in the palm of their hand, literally.
Yeah, yeah. There was one part on that form that my coaching students and I have been working on recently.
Yeah.
That I really liked was the pre-approval. Do you need to be pre-approved or so on, right?
Yeah.
Now, what we've been doing with that particular part of the form is we're connecting that automatically to, if it's they want a pre-approval, to our mortgage broker. And so it automatically goes then from there straight away to the mortgage broker. The mortgage broker has the opportunity then to contact them also. And over and above that, what we're doing, I'm a very strong believer in residual income. I like getting paid for doing nothing other than send the referral on. And so then we get paid a 25% referral from the mortgage broker for any of those referrals that come that way. And it happens instantly. We didn't have to do any work. It just bam, simple. That's what the love of a great CRM is. And one of the questions that I see in the chat is Wise Agent the right CRM? And so I'm going to emphasize a little bit on that. I had another CRM for many, many years prior to having the privilege of meeting Brandon Wise at NAR one time. And you want to talk about a guy that emphasizes everything that we're talking about as being a successful person in a business. He was a very successful real estate agent before he decided to run into this business and look after all that he's doing and all that they built here at Wise Agent with many people's help, let alone his own. But at the end of the day, the thing I loved with Brandon is that he came to my booth and asked me, how can I help you, or how can we help each other? I didn't have to go chase him down. He didn't wait at his booth. He was going from booth to booth to booth and talking to people how to market and how to be involved and how to be engaged. That's what we need to do, gang. You want to get more listings, you got to get out there and talk to people. Hence why Brandon is what he's doing today. And this is many years ago that we had that conversation. And immediately that day, I made a decision that this is the company I want to work with. Because if this person is willing to, go back to the basics and do the hard work all the time, every day, to be able to be successful, yahoo. Anytime I ever want to talk to Brandon, I phone him and he answers the phone and he calls me back. That's customer service, and that's what you're looking for. Not necessarily are all you're going to be able to call Brandon, but at the end of the day, somebody from Wise Agent is going to call you back, and you are going to get great customer service. So really make sure that if you want to succeed in the real estate business, we need to have a good CRM. I believe the key to success is your CRM. I echo it this way. If you had your car out in the parking lot and you went out to start it and the motor wasn't there anymore, would you get very far? No. It's exactly the same as your real estate business. If you don't have a CRM and you're not utilizing your CRM, you're not putting your CRM to work, the same thing's going to happen in your business. You're going to go to start it one day, there'll be nothing there. If you want to sell your business in many years from now for hundreds of thousands of dollars, make sure that your CRM is up to date every day and everything is in there all the time. And you're tracking all your deals in there, which of course Wise Agent does, right from the start to the finish, your entire deal. You can categorize everything. You can remember everything that's in there. It's all there for you, whether it's your, appraisal or your lawyer work or all that stuff that's out there. So positive, so powerful. You have to be able to do that. And then again, another part that's so powerful in Wise Agent is that you can track your ongoing production. Are you ahead of your goals? Or are you behind your goals? You got to know this. This is so important because should I go on another holiday? No problem if I'm ahead of my goals. Or no, I can't go on another holiday.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love what you said about, going back to the basics, and that I think, in the past maybe 2.5 years, 2.5 years ago, the market was different. And when the market was different and there were, lines out the door at every, you couldn't even type it, as soon as you would press enter to submit your listing in the MLS, it was already sold. It was like,
Right.
it was, things weren't staying in inventory. There wasn't a lot of that. There's not a lot of that happening now. And so you have to go back to the basics and building that foundation of, having your CRM and having your book of business, right? Your complete book of business. And that book of business is everybody that you know, and putting them, someone asked a question of, when sending a mass email, is it possible to omit certain leads in the CRM based on category? And yes, absolutely, Christian. And I love that you asked that question, because that means that you're segmenting your audience. That means that that email that you're trying to send is not intended for everybody that you have in your database.
Right.
You have people in your database that maybe just bought with you within the last 18 months. And so those people you could, maybe even 3 years, and it depends on who it is that you have in your database, because it could be, these people that were maybe first-time home buyers. Most likely you can take that step and say, they're probably not going to buy in the next 6 months. Probably not. But maybe the group of investors that have bought in the last 18 months, yeah, they might be buying again. They might. And so that message, the message today would be something completely different for this group of people versus this group of people. And you should be doing that. You should be segmenting it. So then you know who to be reaching out to and what to say to them. It is so important when you say the right thing to the right people, how it just resonates. And that's what will happen then. And obviously, based on the fact that you're building the relationship along the way as well. But then you're sending almost like a curated email to them, and they're going to be getting it. And they're like, she actually knows me and knows that I'm an investor, and probably, yeah, I am interested in this. This looks like a great deal. This looks like it's in my price range. Like she didn't send me a $3 million listing. She sent me something that was $500,000. That's my budget. So then they start feeling a way that like you know who they are, you've heard them, and you're sending them something of value. Because when you send something to somebody, a first-time home buyer that just bought a home, and then you send them an email saying, every month you're sending them, and I just listed this, and I just listed this, and I just listed this $2 million property and this $4 million property. And they're like, I just bought a $300,000 house. Like, I mean, this is gorgeous, but I cannot afford it. She doesn't know anything about me. Like, delete, mark as spam. I don't know. Did she sell my email? I don't know what this is.
Right.
You don't want that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's a big thing, is that segmenting your audience and making sure that you're sending the right message to the right person, and the right group of people is key. And that's part of the relationship building, is segmenting your audience. I mean, it's totally part of it. Like, Doug, if I were to send you properties, here in Arizona, which, I mean, you might want to come to, because it is, you're in British Columbia, where there's a lot of snowbirds here, and a lot of people from this area, where I might tailor that message to you and include something about, hey, there's a Canadian, I don't know, there's a bar that does all the Canadian holidays, and there's this and that, and send you information on what they do on Boxing Day specifically out here in Fountain Hills. And so now maybe you might not buy here today, tomorrow, in the next 6 months, but when you start thinking about it, then you're gonna be like, I recall getting this email about this little town in Arizona that has snowbirds, that does, that has all the things that would feel like comforts of home for me. And so that would be different, right? That's the difference of building a relationship versus not.
Yeah. So another angle to look at to generate more listings, gang, today inside Wise Agent has the ability to do that, is to be building different landing pages to be able to generate different ways to generate customers. One of my one-on-one coaching students that's really having great luck with this in Vancouver, British Columbia, is a downsizing ad. And a downsizing ad there, of course, in this market is something that is very relevant, but it's relevant in all areas. It doesn't matter where it is. People got a 4,000 square foot house and they want a 2,000 square foot condo or whatever it is. So find in your communities, look at the different areas and the different directions that people move, and then figure that out, and then tailor your ads that you can produce right inside Wise Agent to be able to match that particular part of your market. And then therefore you will get inquiries because you've tailored it accordingly to your market. So make sure that we're looking at all the different things that are happening within your market to generate more listings for you, and then create landing pages to match that.
Yeah. And so those are the lead magnets, really is what it's called. You're giving something of value, right? And you're doing it in a place of a landing page where, and I'm going to just go back and explain what a landing page is for those of you that are like, well, what's a landing page? And I have a website, and is that the same? Is it different? It is different. So a website has many pages kind of strung together. But a landing page is just one single page that has one call to action, which would be complete this form. And with a lead magnet would be in order for you to receive, this information, whatever it is that you're wanting to promote. And so let me share my screen once more, and I'll show you, because we do have lead magnets within here, and you can create your own lead magnet. But this one's, relocating 5 mistakes sellers make. So if you're looking for sellers, this would be for listings. This would be great to say, hey, don't fall victim to these mistakes. And so now what you would do is you would say, I'm going to take this and I want to post this in a group of, all, properties for sale in whatever city, USA, or anywhere in the world, right? And so, so then when the consumer starts looking through Facebook or wherever through ads, and they see this ad of like, what mistakes? Like, I'm getting ready to list my property. I don't want to make mistakes. What am I going to say? What do I want to find out what these mistakes are. Well, what would happen is they would click here, they'd fill out this form, and then the call to action is get my free guide. And what we've done is then you can create a rule which would then give you the auto response with all of that content in there for you. So you don't even have to create the content. Like we would have that for you. So you would just come in here and say, okay, I want to do, and I don't remember what category it's in. Oh boy, Sarah, maybe you can help me out because I don't remember. Was it in general? Maybe it's in real estate. No, I know. No, infographics. That's where it is. So then I can come in here and say, here's the email that I'm going to send. Remember, as soon as they click on this submit or this get my free guide, this button, those rules will kick off, which will then send them the 5 mistakes.
Awesome.
And so now it's taken me, it took me a couple of minutes to customize this landing page. It took me a couple of minutes to set up this rule. It maybe took me 30 minutes to figure out even a drip campaign, because you probably want to nurture this person. You're most definitely going to want to nurture. And then once you have all of that done, then you can sit back and wait for all the leads to come in and then call them. That's how it would work.
So I'm going to go and wish that I could see everybody today. And I'm going to say thumbs up to all of you who think, oh my goodness, that looks great, but I don't think I can do that, because there's going to be a whole bunch of thumbs that are going to go up.
Yeah. And Well, but here's the thing, they can raise their hand if you feel like, oh, can I do that or can I not? And maybe Doug, I think I already know what you're gonna say, so I'll let you say it.
So remember, at Wise Agent, they have the ability for you 24 hours a day to make a phone call, send in an email, a chat, and then you'll get the answer and you'll get the step-by-step process of how to do that. Plus, they have all of this on all the videos in the background and everything. The training platform is fantastic for everything you want to learn, everything you want to do here. But if you're like me, I like to talk to somebody. So they have it that you have that ability to be able to reach out and talk to somebody and have them talk you through it. And then all of a sudden you've got it done. It's like, wow, that was so awesome. And so I think it's very important to realize that in Wise Agent, that is there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm seeing some questions on, do we have anything like that in Spanish? I'm not sure what you're referring to, which part. We do have drip campaigns that are written in Spanish. So that's all in there. Landing pages, Sarah's saying are not currently in Spanish, but you can edit those to have, the text all in Spanish or any other language, that you'd like. So we do have our drip campaigns written in English and in Spanish as well. So that is something that we do make available to you. But really, like Doug said, I mean, this is not training. I talk way too fast for training. But our classes are all available online. You can do the group classes. I personally like doing a group class because sometimes I'm going to hear from somebody some kind of idea that they have that I've not thought of. And that's going to spark something in me that say, oh, well, I can start doing that. And that's something that I really encourage you guys to at least take a group class with our team on the landing pages, the drip campaigns and all that stuff. We have all of them for you available. So we don't just kind of tell you, oh, this is something you can do. I like something tangible. Don't give me training and then like not give me all the steps. So
For sure, for sure.
perfect.
So to become a better listing agent, as we're trying to focus a little bit for everybody today, it's a system, gang, for all of us to start with. Number one, you have your CRM, and inside your CRM, you have yourself that your calendar of the format you're going to use. Now, you can use the one inside of your CRM, or you can use Google Calendar, and they all talk to each other, all linked together. But at the end of the day, you have your CRM. Your Google Calendar or your calendar is so critically important to you because this is what keeps you systemized and organized to be able to go forward, to be able to be more successful. So in your calendar, let's start off at the beginning of your day. Make sure that everything in your calendar is blocked times and then color coded in times so that you know what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. To get more listings, you have to do something as a real estate agent. I know it's almost a swear word. It's called prospecting. If you don't prospect on a regular basis, gang, you're not going to be successful. It's just that absolute simple. I don't mean to be rude or aggressive on it, but it's that simple. I met Brandon Wise because he was what? Prospecting in the boost that we went through at NAR. And you got to do that too. So in your calendar, set up a certain time every day that you're going to prospect. Absolute minimum 3 days a week. You must prospect for a certain amount of time. Now, for me personally, I still do it today. I prospect every day until I get a contact or an appointment, meaning that it's somebody that it's going to either, in my world today, somebody that wants to be interested in signing up for one of our programs, signing up for one-on-one coaching, signing up for our Impact Initiative program, or whatever it is that I'm prospecting to do on that day. But it's still every day it's set up. When I was a real estate agent, I was from 8:30 to 11 every single day I prospected. No, nothing got in the way of that. There's three things that get in the way of that. Number one, somebody wants to list their house that day. Yahoo, I'm going to go list the house. Number two, an absolute emergency in our family, something comes up. Of course, you're going to go do that. Number three is a buyer that is moving into town that only has 2 or 3 days to buy. And those are the time that you got. You're going to handcuff yourself to that person and you're going to get the job done as quick as possible. But other than that, nothing else gets in the way. Why? And here's an example. In your calendar today, every day you don't prospect, reach out 90 days later and put an X in your calendar. And what that X means is that you're not going to get a paycheck that day. So decide for yourself, how many X's do you want 90 days out every day that you decide not to prospect? So make it simple, make it straightforward, but do it every single day. So calendar, critically important. Next thing is we got to learn how to, I call this the 3 Ps. Prospecting's number one. The second one we got to learn is we got to learn how to do good presentations. We got to be a good presenter. We'll get a lead through Wise Agent and the Yahoo, we got the lead. We put it into our drip campaign. That's awesome. And then finally you get an appointment. Well, when you get the appointment, you have to learn how to present so that you can actually get that listing. And there's 2 parts to presenting. It's number one is the actual listing presentation that you have. And if you don't have that, you need to get that. That's imperative. And the second part is knowing how to present. Yeah. As we are here today, we're presenting to you to show you the way that it's smart to use Wise Agent to move forward. And then the last but least is run your business like a business is the 3rd P. And this is what we're talking about today. We call it percolating, to run your business like a business. So all of that comes together very nicely, and it seems very easy to do, but it takes time, takes energy, and takes effort. And it all always goes back to your CRM, because everything you learn, everything you do every day gets entered back into your CRM for your success as you continue to grow.
Yeah. No, I love how you said that, Doug. It's really important that the CRM is that center hub of your business. And you set up a lot of the automation. So then some of the things like the prospecting, that shouldn't, like getting a new lead, getting a new prospect into your CRM should not get in the way of you calling the people that you were supposed to be calling today. Right. So then the automation helps with that. It shouldn't be like, oh, I got a text notification. I got a lead in from my website or from that ad or from that lead magnet. Right. You shouldn't. Stay focused on what you're doing, make your phone calls, do your thing. And then let the automation, help you out, because speed to lead does matter. And that's why you set up the automation. So there's a message already going out on your behalf through the system. And so then allow that to happen. Or if you're dealing with an emergency, or you're just wanting to be there with your family because it's an important day or something happening that you need to, your attention needs to be there. So that's something that the automation is really important. And, one of the things, what we said earlier in our conversation here is that, what was the statistic? About 80% of agents aren't retaining their past clients is because there's no follow-up happening after the transaction. After the transaction, you should be setting up every single one of your clients in a long-term drip. I mean, you already know the date that they purchased the house, right? So what you can do, and we now have these triggers within the CRM. So from our checklist. So if you're going through, and I'll share my screen as I'm sitting here trying to talk with my hands. So as soon as you're creating your checklist templates, right? This template that will help you kind of guide you through. So you're recalling all the things that you need to do and you're assigning them automatically. So if you have if you have your admin, or you have a transaction coordinator, you're keeping everybody kind of aware of what needs to happen. So these are all the things that need to happen if I'm working with a buyer. And you can see here with the agency disclosure, I'm going to, I have a couple of these triggers. So I have to have, as soon as that task is due, I'm going to contact the person that from my team that's starting this checklist, or my admin, or whoever it is. And I'm going to send them a text alert saying, I need to get that disclosure done right away. Right. So I need to make sure that, and I would probably not send that to that person, but I would probably just send this to, I'd send this to somebody specifically and say, get this signed, make sure we have this signature here. What you can also do is at the end of the transaction, right? As soon as you go through and you deliver the keys, you could say, okay, I'm going to add a trigger here, and I'm going to start them on a drip campaign. And this is where you would put them into a long-term drip campaign that will then allow you to continue prospecting and doing everything else. But now as soon as this is done, you kind of have this drip is going out. I know what's going to happen. So I already know that I'm going to sell them this, set them up with this home sale anniversary follow-up that's going to just drip on them for the next 18 months. And all I have to do is sprinkle in a phone call here and there and a newsletter, and it's all done and set up for me. I don't have to think about it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So what we call that, and what we teach and train all around that, is called mail, call, and see. So mail something to them every month that if your budget can afford it. Call them every 3 months regularly, no matter whoever's in your database. And then last but not least is see them at least once a year, but we always try to coach people to do it twice a year. And when you see them, that means that you put on a special event and all of your customers come to your event, whatever, wherever that is. When I did it in myself personally, I started off with like 40 people at our house and we had a dinner. It was great. And then eventually it turned into the biggest hall that we had in our community of 300 people. And instead of me begging people to come like they were at the beginning, the event was always in December. In September, people would be calling me saying, I want a ticket this year, Doug. Make sure I get a ticket this year, Doug. It wasn't a matter of me trying to get people to go to this event. And then when we did these events, gang, it's something that really is positive and powerful for you, is that you ask people to bring you a referral to that event. And then you give them a prize. You have a very special prize for everybody that comes to the event with a referral, meaning a buyer or a seller that want to do business in the near future, right? So that made me, I got anywhere from 6 to 10 closings every single year from that event, from those referrals that came in that day. So mail, call, see, very positive. And in our system, we'll teach you how to look after that and make sure that that gets done.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, anytime that you're, giving to somebody, they're always going to be mindful of, of giving back to you. And so making sure that you're giving a value and you've got, and you're there, at that right time and being able to, to offer something that's going to be of interest for them. I think another thing is emails. We haven't really talked too much specifically about email sending. I think there's a couple of questions about, how many emails can you send out through Wise Agent? So through Wise Agent, you can send out 2,500 emails per day. Okay. And so, I always tell people, like, you should be sending out, as many emails as you can respond to, because you're going to get about 40% response rate on your emails. So you want to make sure if you're going to be sending out 2,500 emails, whatever 40% is of that, are you going to be able to respond to them? Because if not, then you got to send less. You want to make sure that you're responsive. With text messages, if you're sending out text, the response rate is 80% response rate within the first 15 minutes. So don't go sending out, 200 text messages at one time if you can't, respond to a good chunk of those people right away. So be cautious of that. But I think if you're sending out an email saying with a specific subject line, putting in like, hey, Doug, do you want to know the value of your home? And that's your subject line. And in that email, you're writing, I could stop by, here's my calendar link. So I can, talk to you and see what's happening and that, that's prompting you. You can add to this message. You're not, what you're trying to do is trying to give them some information. So then, and those people that are going to be reading that message over and over and over again, you're going to look through your reports in your email sending and see if you've sent out, let's say you've sent out 2,500 of those emails, maybe you've got a team. I'm not going to look to call I won't be able to call 2,500 people in like the 2 days later, right? I'm going to look to see how many people have opened it at least 10 times. I'm going to call whatever the smallest number is. How many, I can call those 25, 30 people. And I'm going to call them first because they're the most interested. The other ones, not so much yet. That's okay. Let them keep working it, keep brewing, keep it going. Would you use percolating? Let it, I think about the old percolators, the coffee pots, right? Let that keep going there. but really focus in on those 15, 20 people that have been opening up your emails multiple times.
Right.
It's very specific that you could be doing to try to get that appointment and see. And maybe they don't end up selling right away, but they just want to know because they just want to know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's okay. That's part of your relationship building.
Right, right. If you're just caution a little bit on that, because I've had a couple explosions in that, is that if you're going to send out a CMA, though, make sure it's accurate. Make sure you're doing it right. Take the time and energy and effort to make sure that it is very close to correct. You know, the ones that are
Well,
just pumped
yeah.
out through the computer systems and so on, very dangerous because people do not like getting false information about their properties.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't think that you would want to send out the CMA because that's already given them everything, right? What you want to do is you want to say, hey, let's meet because I want to see your house. Before I even tell you, is your house worth $100,000 or $500,000? I don't know. Is your roof caving in on you or what's happening? So I need to come and sit at your kitchen table and have a cup of coffee and let's talk. Bring them a pie or something or whatever it is and go and sit down and have that conversation. But then what happens is you get to see the house and then you also will have to do the follow-up afterwards because you're not going to sit there and say like, oh, your roof is caving in minus $100 or whatever it is, right? You're going to have to, then you leave, you take your information, you leave, and then you call them back and say, well, now, or send them an email and say, now I have your CMA for you.
I love the fact that you're promoting to do face-to-face appointments. And face-to-face can be here on Zoom too, as a matter of fact, you know, there's no question. Any way that you're actually talking to people face-to-face to generate more impact with your people. It's one of the reasons why that 17% is there today, is that our customers don't know each other, know us by the time the transaction is over. So if there's one thing that you might want to look seriously at and changing in your business today is to make sure that you realize that, you know, face-to-face appointments increase the odds of you not being part of the 17% club. And also at the end of the day, to get 7 transactions from each transaction. Those are 2 things we want to echo on and think in our minds. How are we going to make sure that we end up in the right one of those 2 clubs?
Right. Yeah. And that's where, what you'd mentioned, like the 7 transactions from one person, it doesn't have to mean that they bought, 6 other properties from you. It could be like maybe their kids grew up and now they've gotten married and now they're buying, or their siblings or their family friends or their neighbors or whatever the case might be. Don't always think about it as that 7 has to come from one particular person. Because I think what is the average people move is like 3 to 4 times in their life. So you're not gonna, get that same person to buy 7 times maybe, but that's okay. But they know plenty of people. They have maybe children that are growing up and going off to college, and so you maintain that relationship through those years. So then once they've graduated, you don't just show up like, hey, 25 years ago, I sold your parents a house and now you just graduated college, you're going on to medical school. Do you need a house now yourself? And it's like, where'd you come from? I don't know you from Adam. You want to maintain that relationship because when that day comes, when their, children grow up or whatever it is, then you're there because you've always been there. It's not
Right.
you just showed up.
Right. Right. So true.
Yeah.
So true.
So true. Yeah. So there's a lot of conversations happening in this chat. Sarah, I feel like is doing a great job in keeping up with it. As we're talking, Doug, I see some of the things like, are the drip campaigns all set up for us in Wise Agent? So there are drip campaigns, and I'll share my screen to kind of go over that. I think I went over it pretty quickly earlier. From our marketing tab, you can set up your own drip campaigns. You can do your own custom drip campaign. Okay. But then if you're like, like me, maybe sometimes you're a little bit too busy and you're like, I need something, but I don't have time to write everything. Then you can take our stock program. And you can just take one of these and you can edit it and curate it to your own tone and your own, your own intervals and whatnot. But then I also like doing kind of a semi-homemade, right? So taking what we have, the stock, and then editing it and adding on to it, right? So it's always about, making sure you're serving the people that you have in your database. You want to make sure that you're serving their needs. So, so just be mindful of that, that we do have a lot of things for you in here. The other thing that we have also, and I think Doug, you mentioned the newsletters, is our monthly newsletter. We write this content for you each and every month, for you to utilize. It is, you know, can be edited. So if you're like, oh, I don't want to talk about spring cleaning, I want to talk about spring training, right? So whatever it is that you want to talk about, go ahead. Someone had asked me the other day, I don't want to have a recipe. I don't cook. I don't, you know, that's not my thing. I don't ever want anyone calling me and saying, oh, I love this recipe, because I have nothing to add to that conversation. I'm like, okay, delete it. It's just that easy. Delete it. You could add something else in there. You don't have to add anything else to it. But it's something that is, it is given to you in order for you to customize and create your own. So those are really good, good little tips and tricks for you to add. And you could add your listings in there. So,
Right.
you know, for anything else. Is there a way to track open rates for the newsletter? Yes. For all of our emails, you can track the open, and I'll show that because I did talk about that a little bit in here. So from our dashboard, here you can see how many emails that you've sent. I'm going to just change this number so I actually have some data in this demo account. And what I always tell people to do is, you know, select your, you know, you want to have your range in there as kind of a normal range, not like mine. And then, you know, look through your opens. So what I was saying earlier, I've sent out 2,500 emails. Well, I want to call these first 12 people that have actually opened up my message. I want to talk to them. They've seen my message, so it makes sense for me to talk to them first and to call them first. So this is how you would look at your opens in here. All right, we're kind of cutting it close on time, and I got to run to the airport. I've never done that before, just had one of these and then run away. But Doug, I want to thank you for your time and all the information that you shared with us today. Really appreciate it. So thank you for being on.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us the opportunity. Sarah, maybe I'll get you to share our contact information again at this point, if you could. If you're interested in finding out more about what we do at Bottom Line University and our Impact Initiative program, please feel free to send us an email. I promise you, I will respond very quickly. And or give me a phone call. That's cool. I love that too. Or a text. And we will get back to you, and we will set something up to be able to have a discussion on what you're looking for, where you want to grow, how you want to grow, and what your challenges are in the industry today for you. If there's anything in particular, I promise you, between myself and all the teams and everybody that I work with, we have the answer to be able to help you, to be able to make you feel stronger in the real estate industry today and help your goals achieve what you're looking for.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Doug. I appreciate that. I appreciate everyone's time. So if you guys are looking to start utilizing Wise Agent CRM, go to wiseagent.com and click on the Try It Now free button and sign up for your free trial. And my team is here and happy to help you through the whole entire process of it. So I hope to see some of you. I know I'm going to be seeing some friends this week or this weekend in Las Vegas at the CRS event. If one of you are there, please stop by and say hi. I'll be there until Saturday. All right, Doug. Looking forward to seeing you. I haven't seen you since like 2015. When was the last time I saw you, Doug, in Chicago?
Yeah,
an AR event that you were talking about. Yeah.
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 There's a question about the cost. Just call me, you guys, if you're wanting to know about the programs and everything. Send me an email, because I don't want to hold up Lainey, because she has to get to the airport. So
Yeah.
by all means, just send us a quick email. I'm happy to visit with you. There's be no pressure. We'll just tell you what you need to know.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right, everyone. Thank you. Take care. Have a good weekend.